Some institutions teach aviation, some create careers, but a few build the future of the industry itself. Cockpit was built with one vision: to bridge passion with real industry exposure, from advanced simulation training to aerospace-driven learning, to creating an ecosystem where students don't just study aviation, but experience it. Cockpit has been shaping the next generation of aviation professionals. And today, in association with Aeronautical Society of India, we bring you a conversation with the visionary behind that mission. An exclusive sit-down with the chairman of Aerospace Society of India. A discussion on innovation, opportunities and the future waiting beyond the runway.
Today, we are joined by a true veteran of the aviation industry. Professor Ashwani Sharma brings with him over 5 decades of experience across aircraft maintenance, safety management, quality systems, and training. Currently, he is serving as the chairperson of Aeronautical Society of India, Mumbai branch, while also being a professor of practice in aerospace engineering at the Chandigarh University. With global experience across the Singapore, UAE and the UK, his credentials speak for themselves. Now we could be sitting here listing these great achievements all day long. But today, we are here to look a little bit into who he is as a person. Sir, it's a pleasure to be sitting here with you. Please give us a little bit of an insight about who you are.
So, you asked about me, who I am. I am an aircraft maintenance engineer by profession. I come from a very small village in Punjab. My native village is in Punjab. It's about 7 miles from a city, nearest city called Sharma-Chairperson. But all my education was in Chandigarh. That's where my father was based, and I graduated in mechanical engineering from Punjab Engineering College under Punjab University. Ironically, I have spent my 50 years of my career in aviation, though I am a mechanical engineer by Cockpit. I graduated as a mechanical engineer, and I have worked in airlines. I have worked in MROs, and I'm now an academic for the last 4-5 years, teaching at a couple of universities, which you have mentioned. That's who I am.
That is really inspiring, sir. You have done so much in your life, and here students like us, we struggle to complete even a single course. So what was your motivation to do so much and how did you never get overwhelmed by all of what was going on?
It goes to the basics of your personality or persona, as one calls it. So one is born with it sometimes, and it can also be learned over a period of time. One can be, a go-getter by instinct, that is by birth, or one can acquire this personality trait during one's career. So I guess I was, you can say a little bit of both. From my school days, I was kind of a determined person that if I need to read something, I would go all out to achieve that end. And subsequently, during my working career, my job as an aircraft engineer was a very challenging job. Every flight is a new event. You don't know when the aircraft is coming, with what problems it is coming, and you have to then, prepare yourself and analyze on the spot to do what we can call it as a dynamic thinking and dynamic planning, because you have to prioritize the problems on the aircraft, and then you have to, make sure that which are the ones which affect the safety of the aircraft, whether the aircraft will be safe to proceed further or it has to be grounded for doing some essential maintenance. So all those kind of things, then they motivate you, they make you the person that you are. So that's how I...
Well, we can see it made you a great person, a great achiever, sir. So as you said, you've been in the industry for 50 years, if you're working or you're in the academic. So, what would you say has changed from when you first joined? What is the biggest change?
Well, I can go over the technical aspects of how the aircraft have changed over the years, starting from all manual operated aircraft that when you move the control column in the cockpit, the signal to the control surface was carried by a set of pulleys and chains mechanically,
Yeah.
to what we have today, fly-by-wire technology, where when the pilot moves the control in the cockpit, he is only operating a band of switches.
Exactly.
And those switches, then they carry the signal electronically to the control surfaces, and the control surfaces do the work that they are supposed to do. So, but I am not going into that. What I would like to highlight here, the change that happened is that we have moved away from the troubleshooting as when I started my career. That is, you go over the aircraft inch by inch, trying to find out where the fault is. Supposing it's a short circuit, you have to go all over the aircraft, leading edge or fuselage from the nose to tail with a multimeter and trying to find out where the fault is. And now what we have is, we have a net of sensors all over the aircraft, which keep measuring pressures, temperatures, movements, etc. continuously.
That
And
must
they
take a long time.
keep feeding it to a central maintenance computer, and that central maintenance computer has software program which churn that data, and then they give you in plain English what needs to be done for a problem. So the aircraft maintenance engineer's life has become, I wouldn't be overstating it if I say 1,000,000 times easier than it was in my time. But at the same time, the downside, which I look at it is, people in the industry may or may not agree with me, the downside is that supposing that central maintenance computer fails, today's AMEs, they do not have the experience of having done troubleshooting, going over the aircraft inch by inch for them to then find out what the problem is. So they will struggle to find, because they do not have the necessary experience. They have been relying on the computer, central maintenance computer, to tell them what's wrong with the aircraft. Now that maintenance computer has a problem, or the display has gone black, so it cannot tell you that, okay, replace relay Romeo 570 or whatever relay number is. So you have to go and find out what is wrong, which part has failed, where it has failed, and then so that is the biggest change, is that we kind of working that the engineer to do aircraft maintenance engineer is completely changed.
So, would it be correct to say, if you could bring back one thing from the old times in the industry as a mechanical engineer for the aviation industry, would it be the training for the AMEs, or would it be something else?
No, essentially it will be training, because anything new that is introduced, and digitization or computerization, or call it whatever you make, requires constant training. Unless you train, you cannot do the job. You cannot do the work. So training is imperative. Without training, nothing can work. And it's more so now that you do not have the actual situations. You have to train with virtual situations. You have to. It's like what pilots in the simulator do. They will simulate an engine out condition. One engine failed during takeoff, and how to handle the aircraft. So you have to actually create a problem and then try to solve it by training. So that is how it is done these days. As against, in my time, we actually did the job.
There was no simulation.
There was no simulation. We actually did the job and learned how to do it.
Learn the hard way.
So an old foggy like me, instinctively I will know where the problem is. If I am told that this aircraft has got this problem, I will know my instinct where the problem is. Whereas a new Gen Z, you can call it, he will immediately run to the maintenance computer and press a few buttons and try to see what the computer says.
So, while you were working, like in your starting years, you must have made a few mistakes, some mistakes. So, what is the highlight of those years? What is something that you think, okay, that is a mistake I made, but I also learned from it?
Okay, so we used to have this common thinking among ourselves that we have so many chapters in an aircraft. Aircraft is divided into chapter wise. So chapter 32 is landing gear, chapter 27 is flight controls, etc. So the the chapter that you remember most is where you have had a problem. That is the one which you remember very well because you face that problem. So, yeah, they have been, I mean, I must have certified hundreds, tens of hundreds, if not thousands of flights over my career. So, there have been occasions where I have made a mistake to humans make mistakes. So, that is human, as the saying goes.
Exactly.
So, I have missed, but fortunately, and here, I guess, a lot of luck plays its part, and by grace of God, my mistakes have not resulted in a major incident or an accident. So that is just my luck and by the grace of God. But yes, mistakes everybody makes, and I may have made a few mistakes.
So I would say more than luck, it's your determination, it's your practice, and maybe the way you must have carried yourself during that time, and as you still do, honestly. So can you give me 3 qualities that you think helped you and could help other people working in this industry?
Well, the first quality I would say is the quality by not by choice but by force, because it is easier to get an AME license and aircraft engineer license, but it's very difficult to maintain because every mistake that you make, your license is always on the line. So the one quality that you must have is you don't make any mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. So
Don't
but
make any
that,
mistakes.
yeah, but that is not a quality by choice. That is a quality by force.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
the second quality I would say is in our line of business, I guess in every other business as well, you need to be current all the time with the software, with the subject. More so in aviation, because aviation is cutting edge technology. Every aircraft that comes out, new aircraft has cutting edge technology. And that is what the best industry has to offer. So you need to be, in tune with that, what is happening in the industry. In the sense that you have to learn what is new in the industry. For example, new aircraft from with a new technology, head-up display. For example, came in 787 aircraft, which were not there in 707, 737, 747 aircraft. So you need, as an engineer, as an aircraft maintenance, you need to be current with the technology. That what is a head-up display, how does it function? What are the essential elements of a head-up display? And only then you will be able to. So that is second quality is constantly updating your knowledge. And third one is determination and will to succeed.
Or nothing can be done without determination. Nothing can be done without determination. So MRO, people working in MRO, they are the unsung heroes of the industry, because without them, no flight can take off. No flight can take off without them. So what goes behind the scenes? What goes behind those big trucks and those tools and everything?
Well, what goes behind is the work on the aircraft. We are colloquially aircraft maintenance engineers and technicians. The pilots have a name for us. They call us grease monkeys. And the reason for that is that our hands are always, greasy, and we are working with our own hands. So what goes behind is, you see, what public people see when they travel by air is the glamour side of the airline.
Exactly.
That is the plush cabins inside and the lovely carpet and those galleys and those, flight attendants serving them food and things and things like that. So that's the glamour part of the aircraft. The real part of an airline is in the MRO, where that aircraft is made servicing. Because an aircraft does not fly. The pilot doesn't even come on board the aircraft unless it is airworthy.
Exactly.
And that is what the MROs do. So we keep the aircraft, airworthy all the time. But that's what happens in MRO.
That's great, sir. I cannot tell you how inspired I am by you and by your determination, by the way you work. This, I would say, it's a personal question, more of it. I read that you are a professor of practice. So can you tell me what that is?
Okay, so in our education system, which prevailed in the last few years, the entire education, even in the colleges and universities, is theoretical.
Yes.
So people would only learn the theory part of everything. So, and when they go into the field, into the industry, there was a big gap between the academia and the industry. So this was identified by the government of India. It had been done earlier in the Western countries. So when it was then identified that yes, we need a bridge between the academia and the industry, so that the students who are in the college and universities, they get a glimpse of what is happening in the industry. In other language, in other words, I can say that what the industry needs and what the universities or academia produces, there was a big gap in that. And that need to be bridged. So I think the University Grants Commission, the UGC, they gave a mandate to all the universities or the colleges that at least 10% of all your education has to be given by not the laureates or professors or doctorates or MPhils and MTechs, but by people who have worked 20, 30 years in the industry. So who have worked in the industry and who know what are how things happen in the industry. So that is how the professor of practice idea was born, and it was put into practice. So I do that job for medical students.
Wow. So what is the best part of teaching? What do you love about it the most?
Well, I guess it's in you. There are certain people who would want to disseminate the knowledge they have. There are certain people who would want to keep the knowledge that they have, or let me put it another way, that they lack the necessary outlook to disseminate the knowledge among others. We give it to the other. So I, from the very beginning, was very keen to give the knowledge that I have to. Earlier, I was doing it with my colleagues. So before our DGC exam, we will all sit together, and I would try to tell them, this is how it is.
Okay.
So I think this it was in me right from the beginning. And when I got a chance, and after I retired, I was a conference speaker, and I must have this. I have done hundreds of conferences, and there I have been speaking to the audiences on a variety of topics concerning aviation. So to speak and to talk, because speaking before an audience is not everybody's
Exactly.
It requires a kind of a mental makeup, mental strength to pull it off. Actually, I would surprise you by saying that the first time I went on a podium for public speaking, it was a disaster. I couldn't speak. I guess the only sound in the room was my knees shaking and hitting each other, which looks now very strange because but that happens. So you have this camera shy and stage fright. All these things are there, and I was also a victim to that. I got over it with determination, and now I love the sound of my own voice. And when I go in my class, I tell the boy and girl sitting in the front row, after 30 minutes, ask me to shut up and keep talking, So,
Actually, I cannot imagine you be having stage fright or being scared of speaking.
That was
you're
in
so,
1989.
you're so well spoken, sir. You're really well spoken. So I had this question. People with knowledge and people who can impart that knowledge to students, there's a big difference between them. Not everybody knowledgeable can teach. So what do you think? How can we bridge that gap?
I guess it has to be, intentions have to be there. One must have the intent. There are two things. One is intent to pass on your knowledge to the other. And the second is to do it, how to deliver it, the method of doing it. So I guess when you have the intention, and you can always find a way out of doing it. Whether you speak to somebody, or maybe you can write a note or write a, and give it to somebody, this is how it is, this is how things function. So that depends from person to person. But the first thing is that you must have the intent. That is how you bridge it. You should have the intention, and then you should have the capacity to deliver it.
Exactly. So, sir, you have worked in Singapore, the UAE, the UK. There must have been a lot of cultural differences between these geographies. So what is one story of a cultural shock that you got as you moved abroad?
Not really. Actually, see, aviation is a very small world, and it's a very niche kind of a sector. And now it is becoming broad-based, and you have expanding in a big way. But earlier times, it was a very, closed group always. So, fortunately, all the three places that I have worked outside India, and that is Singapore, UAE, and UK, the people there were of Indian descent, basically.
Oh.